Hey YouTube, this is Chris with FrozenSoldierAirsoft, and today we're going to be doing a review on the CYMA M14, otherwise known as the CM.032. Probably the first thing that you realize is, whoa, you have the wide angle camera out. And I was, yes, I do. And that is because this is one heck of a massively long weapon. Now, I'm just going to show you quickly what comes in the box. Obviously, your gun. Now, it does not include the scope or the scope mount, sadly. So it is just a stock M14. Reason why I didn't take the scope and scope mount off is because it takes quite a bit of time to sight everything back in, and I have it absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So out of the box, you get a 470 round high cap magazine with a little hole in the side for the included butterfly winding tool. Now, I lost the butterfly winding tool because no one ever uses that. So it is a pretty decent high cap. It feeds fairly well. I've never had a jam with it. It's just, like I said, not the greatest high cap. It is made out of metal, so it is 1+. The other thing that you get in the box is a ridiculously long unjamming and cleaning rod. That's because I believe this thing is a 509mm inner barrel. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it is ridiculously long, and it does go pretty far, or pretty far into the gun. Almost the whole rod goes in there. So it definitely is a very, very, very accurate gun out of the box. Now we're just going to move this stuff to the side here. The next thing that it comes with is a horrid nickel metal hydride 8.4 volts 1200 milliamp test battery. Don't ever take this into a game. It will literally die 10 minutes in, no joke. Pick up a 9.6. I recommend that. Awesome battery. Not this though. So pick up a 9.6. This is pretty horrible. You're gonna hold on it just for a backup, but I'd recommend not using it or just simply throwing it away. Next thing to move on to is a pretty horrible standard AC trickle wall charger. Small type Tamiya connector. This gun doesn't really need to be upgraded to Dean's in my opinion. My other guns I'd like to upgrade to a Dean's, but it doesn't really matter. I would recommend getting a smart charger because you will burn out your beautiful 9.6 if you choose to buy one of those. So I would just recommend simply throwing this out. Pretty useless. Same with the battery. And then finally, a pretty decently articulated manual. Now this is CYMA, so you know, expect lots of Chinglish, but it tells you all the different parts on here, and you know how to use your safety and your select fire and how to load your magazine. But I believe in the way back, yes it does. It does show you a pretty detailed parts list. That is always nice. Now, I guess apparently CYMA was too lazy to print out individual manuals for each of their models. For the CM.032, which is this gun, and the CM.032A, which is the SOCOM version, which eventually I'm actually going to get one off of a friend that he doesn't use anymore, and I might fix it up and I might be selling it. So stay posted, and I might be selling this if I do end up getting it and fixing it. But you know, they're basically the same weapons, so that's, I understand why they didn't print out a separate manual. Anyhow, onto the gun. So now everything that you see in this gun is either made out of pretty decent plastic or pot metal or steel or aluminum. This thing is kind of a mismatched gun in terms of materials used in building. You know, this is definitely, it's a Chinese clone, and I really don't expect a whole lot. But what you're paying for, this is definitely more, or worth more than what you're really paying for. I believe this is on sale on eBay right now for like $107. And what you're getting out of the box with this gun is absolutely crazy. Your accuracy is just like the best accuracy I've ever seen without a tight bore. I mean, the hop up, it works phenomenally well. The barrel is super long, so you're super accurate. This is definitely suited for someone who wants to get into Vietnam, you know, kind of era weaponry, or simply wants a nice DMR, or you know, just wants a nice rifle. I mean, this is perfect. So anyhow, starting on with the build. First thing I like to mention is that the flash hider is made out of metal. Yay! So it is not made out of plastic, unlike the AGM, so it will not break. One thing I always notice, and it is kind of annoying, is that sometimes the screw that holds the non-adjustable front sight as well as the flash hider likes to come loose, like I just showed you right there. So that's definitely one thing you kind of want to tighten after a couple games if you notice that it gets loose. The whole barrel up to here is made out of, I believe, aluminum. So it is pretty decent quality. Now, mind you, the front sight is non-adjustable. No matter what you do, there's nothing that you can do to adjust it. Let's take the whole thing off. It does have 14mm counterclockwise threads. So if you want to put a suppressor or possibly a tracer unit, you can do so. Or if you don't like the M14 style flash hider, then you take it off. Anyhow, next thing, all this fake wood that you see right here, it's fake. I believe at one point they were selling real wood CYMA M14s, but those were in the $200 range, which is ridiculous because the wood isn't worth, in my opinion, from what I've seen, the wood is pretty Chinese looking. It's not worth another $100 on this gun. One thing I do really like about it is this bolt. Oh, it's got a beautiful sound to it. It's made out of full metal, which is pretty nice. I believe the only thing that's made out of pot metal is right here, at least on the bolt catch. It does break pretty easily, and as you can see, I've tried to super glue it. I tried soldering it as well. It's just it doesn't interfere with anything in the gun. It's just kind of one of those cheap things. Sling mounts on this gun. If you choose to sling it, I would totally recommend that these are definitely stable enough to put a sling on. They are well screwed into the gun. These things, no matter how hard you pull, you're not going to break these. I mean, you could beat the heck out of them, which I have, and they're perfectly fine. Moving on, the hop up is adjustable right here simply by this wheel. Turning it to the left adds hop, turning it to the right adds less hop. The chamber was nice. I like is full metal in here. Just kind of one of my pet peeve things when the lower receiver where you put the magazine is made out of plastic, if you can't see that. One thing I'd like to mention is that it does have the standard safety, M14 ambidextrous safety, as well as mag release. Yay! But that's standard with the M14. Now, since this is an M14, it is select fire. So I believe when this notch is on, it is semi-auto, and when the fat part is on, it's full auto. But don't count me on that. I can't really test it at the moment because I do not have a battery. Well, that battery's dead, the charged one. So I don't have a battery around me at the moment. One thing I'd like to say is that the rear starts are fully adjustable for windage and elevation. Windage simply with this dial right here, and flipping your gun over has a ridiculously long adjustment for windage. So you definitely have lots of adjustments. A lot of people say that the bolt catch doesn't work. Mine works periodically. Like right now it likes to work. But, you know, it just depends. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. It's not really meant to work. They didn't mean, like the company, or CYMA didn't mean for the bolt catch to actually work. So it was never intended to, you know, once that you pull the charging handle back, it automatically locks back. That's not the case. You simply have to pull the charging handle back like so, and push down on the bolt catch, and it should catch it like that. So it's a hit or miss. Sometimes they wear off, and eventually they will not catch. If you guys couldn't already tell, this thing does accept a scope mount. I believe it's the Matrix one I purchased. It's just for 10 bucks on eBike, which is pretty good. It's made out of a pretty high quality aircraft grade aluminum. The paint does wear off really easily, and the metal is really easily chipped. But personally, I like that. I like my rifles battle worn, as you can obviously tell. I think it adds a nice nostalgia. Now you obviously can hear that horrible creaking. That is one thing I do not like about the fake wood version. For whatever reason, on all the other versions, their stocks were nylon reinforced polymer, while this was just some weird fox wood. It does have a horrible creak to it. So I definitely, if I end up getting the CM.032 CM.032A, the SOCOM version from my friend. I don't know if I'll fix it up and use it or sell it or simply just rip some parts off and put it on this, because I use that. I would use this as a DMR more than anything else. Now moving on, I hit the wall. This thing is definitely a big weapon. Moving on, the back plate where you access your battery is actually pretty simple. You simply pull down on this shoulder rest, which is actually quite comfortable, if you can see. Definitely when you're in a prone position, it is definitely nice. Although, you know, it does sometimes get in the way. Now moving on, I'll show you the place where you put your battery. So simply flip this up and pull out like so, revealing your small Type Tamiya connector. Out of the box, this gun has pretty decent internals. They'll eventually wear out, as do all airsoft guns, and you will definitely need to replace some parts in the distant future. There's really not a whole lot more to be said for this gun. It does shoot at 350 to 370 feet per second, which is pretty respectable, definitely for the outdoor, because you don't want to take this in a CQB. It's just not. If you want to take an M14 to CQB, take the SOCOM version. This is meant for a DMR or just a standard service rifle. It does, I believe, out of the box, just a standard M100 spring, so nothing too fancy there. And last thing I'd like to mention is that this thing is definitely accurate up to over almost 210 feet. Pinpoint accuracy. This thing is amazing. The only thing that goes farther is obviously my upgraded M4. This thing out of the box is amazing. Who are the kind of people would I recommend this to? Definitely anyone who likes to run and gun, because this thing only weighs about 7 pounds, and that's it weighs, I believe, 11 pounds with the scope on and like 8 pounds with the scope off. And the scope and the scope mount are pretty heavy, but this is totally good for running and gunning or picking people off. I use it for both. This would definitely be great for the person that wants to be a scout sniper. I wouldn't recommend this for people who want to, hardcore snipe, just simply because it just doesn't have the same amount of accuracy as you would if you upgraded a JG bar 10 or a Tokyo Marui bar 10. You just wouldn't get that same accuracy. But this is definitely recommended for running, gunning, field use only, no CQB, unless your CQB field has a 400 FPS limit, but even then I wouldn't take it in. Anyhow, guys, if you are interested in purchasing this weapon, I will put a link in the description below where you can purchase on evite.com for, I believe, the sale price of $107. But I will put in the description the exact price as well if you click on that link. Anyhow, guys, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.